A vast empire, stretching across 3 continents. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Endless gold and silver. Roads connecting the known world. Facing them were small city-states. Argumentative. Rarely united. Everything seemed obvious. But then, the giant fell. The question is, why? The giant that could not lose. The Persian Empire was unlike any enemy before it. They were not just powerful. They were efficient. Roads allowed armies to move fast. Administration kept everything stable. The army came from everywhere. Everyone had a role. Everyone served. A perfect machine. And when Xerxes looked toward Greece, he did not see danger. He saw a target. Greece, a place no one could control. Greece was not a country. No single king. No unified army. Only Athens, Sparta, and dozens of other city-states. They argued. They fought each other. Sounds like a weakness? Yes. But also something else. No one could control them all. Persia could conquer one city. But another city would keep fighting. An enemy with no center. Geography, the invisible enemy. Persia was strongest on open plains. Cavalry. Numbers. Wide space. But Greece? Mountains. Narrow passes. Seas cutting everything apart. At Thermopylae, numbers meant nothing. At Salamis, large ships became a burden. Every step forward for Persia was a step into terrain that did not favor them. Not because they were weak, but because they were fighting on someone else's ground. Small decisions. Huge consequences. Look at Marathon. Athens did not wait. They charged straight at the Persians. An unexpected decision. At Salamis, Themistocles deceived Xerxes. He lured the Persian fleet into a narrow strait. A false message. A trap. At Thermopylae, Leonidas stayed behind. An act of delay. These decisions were not grand. But they came at the right moment. And sometimes, wars are not decided by strength, but by timing. Persia, strong, but not flexible. A large empire has a problem. It needs control. Everything must follow a plan. Structure is essential. But the Greek battlefield did not follow plans. Terrain shifted. The enemy was unpredictable. The Greeks were more flexible. They adapted faster. They did not need to wait for orders from a distant center. And in moments of chaos, that made the difference. They were not always united. Make no mistake. Greece was not always united. They argued. They distrusted one another. Some city-states surrendered to Persia. Others stayed neutral. But when the threat grew large enough, something happened. They paused their conflicts. Not because they loved each other, but because they understood. If they didn't, everything would be lost. Belief, the unmeasurable force. Persians fought for the empire. For orders. For expansion. The Greeks? They fought for their homes. For their families. For their cities. For freedom. That is a different motivation. Something numbers cannot measure. And when the two forces met, sometimes belief won. Inevitable mistakes. Persia was not invincible. They made mistakes too. They underestimated their enemy. Chose the wrong battlefields. Trusted false information. Xerxes believed he could crush Greece with numbers. But numbers, in the wrong space, become a weakness. An imperfect victory. Greece won. But not because they were perfect. They won because they seized opportunity. Because they fought on their own land. Because they were more adaptable. And because Persia could not fully use its strength. How the giant fell. Persia was not weak. Greece was not stronger. But circumstances changed the outcome. A great empire can be defeated by smaller forces if they fight in the wrong place, face an enemy that cannot be easily controlled, and encounter the right decisions at the right time.